There's
Always.
Wombat. You've been very busy, I see, in Watch This Jerks.
It's not all me.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, the first 3 are not me.
Oh, okay, okay. The first one is me, and since it's Juneteenth today, I thought that, and Mrs. Chibi was off from work because of the holiday.
I was too.
Yep, that we should watch a related movie. So this is a documentary that's been around for, I think it came out in 2016. It's on Netflix. It's called 13th, and it's basically about the prison complex and about how the freeing of the slaves went to basically just mass incarceration of black people, and it goes into detail about that.
How slavery is still legal in the United States of America through a loophole in the prison system.
Exactly. How if you've committed a crime, you can be a slave, basically.
Yes.
It's
in California.
So have you seen
California,
this, or you just know everything?
No, I just know this. In California, you could be a firefighter. If you go to prison, they'll make you a firefighter, a prison firefighter. And you don't get paid, and you have to fight these California wildfires. But once you get out of prison, even though you have years of firefighting experience, you are not eligible to join a California fire department if you have a prior criminal record, despite having experience fighting wildfires in California.
Sweet. That makes a lot of sense.
I know. It's a little backwards.
It is.
You think,
It is. Anyway, so that was very depressing, and yeah, you should watch that though. It's not too late.
Cool.
It's very educational. I don't know if this is a movie or a TV show. I don't know what to call Faire. It was 3 parts.
So that's a show, a miniseries.
I guess, but it's I don't know if it's a documentary or not. I don't think I can really call it a documentary anymore. It's just a show. It's a multi-part show about this, Renaissance fair and the weirdos that are working there and the guy who owns it. And it's shot in such a stylistic and interesting way that it makes reality more interesting. It was interesting anyway, but it just takes it to a whole new level, and it makes it more interesting than even something that could have been scripted in certain ways. So it's just nothing more dramatic than reality. And I just really love this show, Faire. It's one of these shows that while I'm watching it with Mrs. Cheapy, that I look over at her to make sure that she knows how much I'm enjoying it. She doesn't know why I'm doing that, but I'm looking over just because I can't believe what I'm watching. Anyway, that's Faire. You should watch that on HBO. It's over. It's only 3 episodes, and they're all out, so you can complete it. What are you watching? I see a lot of stuff.
I watched Bob Marley "One Love" on the plane.
How was it?
This song here we called "Old Pirate," redemption song. Old Pirate, yes. I starred in that movie. How was it? I read that it was not good.
It's not the best, and I can't completely put my finger on it. It doesn't really tell, it's disjointed in the story that it's trying to tell, and it doesn't cover his entire, it kind of covers his entire career and everything that went on, but it doesn't do enough setup, so it's just kind of in piecemeal, and then some flashbacks.
You never have any emotional attachment to Robert Nesta Marley?
Not too much, because there's just certain things about it that just I think I liked watching it. It's got a really high yeah, good one. User or whatever, general population user watcher score on Metacritic, where it's in the 90s.
Nice.
But then for the critics, it's in the 40s.
Right. Is that low? Okay.
Yeah.
They basically said it was formulaic. I think I remember the reviews, and just sort of a
little bit, but it's not it's not totally pandering or anything, and it's not it's showing him completely in a saint vibe the entire time.
Right.
Most of the time it is.
The actor looked like Bob Marley, at least.
Yeah, Ken from Barbie.
Yeah, one of the Kens.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
he was also the bad guy in Secret Invasion. The worst thing in the MCU.
Wombat's gonna watch this though because it's a musical biopic.
I have the ability to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
If he wasn't racist, he'd watch.
I mean, at the same time, it's got the thing like it's like you're sitting there watching, and you're like,
I heard
oh,
that.
this song, like they're
Right,
gonna play
well,
this
yeah.
song for me for a little while.
A lot of hits.
Right. So you like know like every like 10 minutes you're gonna get hit with a song. And you're like, all right,
Yeah, how bad could it be?
yeah.
I read there's a main like biography about him, and I read it like fucking a million years ago, 30 years ago. I don't remember much about it, but it was pretty interesting. And that he
Skin
died.
cancer bad.
What's that?
Skin cancer bad is
Right, and
is the
and like his
moral.
religion basically killed him because he wouldn't have the surgery because he couldn't have surgery as part of his religion.
Yeah, they didn't really go into that in the
Really?
movie so much. Like
'Cause it's
there was like he was like turning down the surgery or saying like he didn't really need it, but there wasn't like any like reasoning that was very clear on what was going on.
Oh,
in
the surgery,
movie.
it'll save your life. No, I'm good.
Yeah,
That's-
that was pretty much it.
I'll be
Yeah.
fine. He's like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's like writing like redemption song and everything, so he knows he's not gonna be fine. Like
Right.
it's, I don't know.
Did they talk about how when he was having sex with women, he would not like, he was really worried that they would get his jizz. And because if they had his jizz, they could control him.
He had 11 kids
Exactly.
with multiple women.
Exactly. If you come in a condom, she can get the jizz out of the condom and then control him. But if he impregnates them, he can't get the jizz. You know what I'm saying?
There wasn't a long part of the movie that was going over this. No,
Oh, they
The
didn't
know,
original,
wasn't
the
really
original
covered.
title was
Yeah.
Bob Marley controlling my jizz.
Don't take my jizz.
Don't take my jizz. That was the original title.
I remember
Hmm.
that from the book. Yeah, he wouldn't have the surgery, but also that he was like this amazing political figure, in that there were like these
Sure.
two feuding parties, and he was such a big, hero
That's-
in Jamaica.
yeah.
They show that. They show him on the stage
That's-
with the two guys.
yeah, that's what-
Okay,
That's pretty much what the movie is like, kind of centered around for the most part.
right.
But it doesn't really also go into what the politics are.
It's too complicated.
Just that, like,
yeah.
just that, like, there's political strife in Jamaica, and
yeah.
there's guns
Well, I'm
shooting
glad they
everybody.
solved all
and-
that political strife in Jamaica. Everything's fine there now.
Well, they legalized it.
hmm
That was Peter Tosh, though.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, I'll probably watch it at some point. Is it on Netflix
Why
or
not?
something?
It's on. I want to say it's on Peacock.
Oh,
Mm.
sorry,
Something.
GB.
I forget which one.
Maybe if you fly
Someone.
somewhere, I would suggest if you fly somewhere.
Yeah, I would
it'll be
totally
on the
watch it
plane.
then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got here?
But you know what is on Netflix that you should watch?
Yes.
Godzilla -1.
I heard that it was good, but I don't believe it.
It is. It is good. I enjoyed it very much.
I'll watch it.
Do you like Godzilla?
I don't know.
Do you like when Godzilla attacks Japan?
I don't know that I like Godzilla. I don't know that I like Godzilla.
Yeah,
You know?
Like, you're 50 years old, you still haven't quite made up your mind on Godzilla.
It's a lot better than the last few American Godzilla movies.
Have
but I don't
watched
think that-
those.
those are not very good.
I believe
Yes. You don't need to watch those.
Actually, I
But
did
Godzilla-
watch the one in the New York one with Matthew Broderick.
Yeah,
Because
that
I wanted
was-
to see
is-
him blow up Madison Square Garden.
It's a lot better than that.
Oh. Did they blow up Madison
So-
Square Garden? No, it's in Tokyo, right?
It's in Tokyo, and it takes place in the 40s. So
Oh.
it's a period piece Godzilla movie. And
I mean, I would
it's-
check that out.
check it out. It's worth your time. I think you'll like it.
Fine.
And you can watch it in the original Japanese.
Which
with
side of the
English
war was he
subtitles.
on?
Well,
Was
it
that
takes
covered?
place.
His
It
side.
does take place. The whole war stuff that all comes up in the movie. That's like a big part of it. So
They're
Which
like,
side? All right.
Oh,
I don't give it
no.
away which side Godzilla was
I'm
on.
not telling you what side Godzilla's on. It gives it away. He
He's
gives
on
a
a
whole
side?
speech at the end of the movie about it, and he goes, "I Godzilla have this to say about the state of Japan
I
after
pledge
World
my
War
loyalty
II."
to the Emperor. Myself, Godzilla, will be loyal forever. And I will defend you against those
Mhm.
capitalist swine.
I Godzilla say so.
Remember- Remember the end of the Jurassic Park when the dinosaur gets up? I forget which Jurassic Park. it was.
Jurassic World.
Yeah,
Jurassic
and it was
World,
just like
yeah.
the dumbest ass movie, and then like he's just gets up on the fucking cliff and he's like, "Ah!" like he wins. And I was like, what are we watching? and I laughed so hard I almost pissed myself in the movie theater. That was good. Oh, E3. Yeah. This is E3 time right now that we're missing out on. I was thinking of E3 today because the weather was like pretty shitty here, like pretty humid and hot.
Yeah, the same thing here as well. I'm like, man, I really miss that trip to LA every year where I didn't have to deal with this weather.
Because I was telling Ty, like, as bad as it's here in New York, it's way worse in Tokyo. So escaping this Tokyo horrible weather, going to LA was just fucking heaven. And yeah, so this is not so bad here in New York. But all right, I'll watch Godzilla.
You should watch Godzilla.
What's this other thing?
I watched Brats, the Brat Pack documentary.
Oh, I thought it was about the dolls.
No, it was written and directed by Andrew McCarthy from St. Elmo's Fire and Pretty in Pink, and also Weekend at Bernie's, if you want to go through his entire filmography. But he talked about how the Brat Pack moniker ruined his life, as he puts it, basically.
Oh, right. He was, okay, I got confused for a second. Who's the Brat Pack? Him? Rob Lowe? No, not Rob. Okay.
Yes, Rob. Yeah.
Ali Sheedy?
Ali Sheedy, yep.
The other one, the other white girl.
You got Demi Moore was considered part of that at that time. Molly Ringwald.
Charlie Sheen.
Who you're thinking? Charlie Sheen a little bit. Emilio Estevez more.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the deal? How did it ruin his life?
Basically, he was like, "Oh, people wouldn't hire me anymore because this New Yorker article came out about the Brat Pack, and that was the end of it for me."
What
and
did the article say?
The article basically said that there are these young actors that
can do piles of blow in a single night.
It was basically that that they're not talented, basically.
Oh, and they're just
that
good
they're
looking?
not talented actors, that they're just young and hot, and they make these forgettable movies that people seem to enjoy, but it won't last forever. So what happened to, what happened in Hollywood making movies of substance?
It was we had those types of articles back then too.
I mean, that's what I was saying. It's like, it's
also most of those people had a very successful career.
Well, that's the other flip side of that too.
other than him.
Some of the best parts of the documentary, which again, not the best documentary, didn't hate it. It was entertaining, but I wasn't like sitting there going, "Yeah, Andrew, you really had a rough go of it." He's interviewing like Rob Lowe at his house, and he's in Malibu, and you see the ocean behind them, and everything is pristine and clean, and it's beautiful. And it's like, yeah, Rob Lowe really hurt from what happened to him. They're sitting beside Demi Moore's pool, talking about how the Brat Pack moniker what it meant to her career. And I'm like, yeah, seems like a real tough time there. They talked to Leah Thompson is in the documentary, and her husband is Howard Deutsch, who was the director of Some Kind of Wonderful and Pretty in Pink and a lot of those movies. And they're like talking to Howard Deutsch at his horse ranch. I'm like, yeah, seems like some really tough times. They go to Laura Schuler Donner's house, one of the most successful producers of all time in the history of film. And her house is it's a palace. They do show the giant Superman statue, of course, but it's like, yeah, it really, I feel bad for everybody in this movie.
Hardly. I'm probably going to skip this one, to be honest.
Yeah, you can. It's definitely skippable. My wife is a big fan of those movies, and we're like, sure, I'll watch that.
The next one on the list I want to hear about, because I heard good things, and I definitely want to watch it. So don't spoil it, whoever's going to talk about it.
I watched Hitman, starring Glenn Powell, co-written by him and Richard Linklater, who also directs it.
Oh,
from Dazed and Confused and lots of other things. It was okay.
What?
I know.
It wasn't
funny? Is this based upon the video game or no?
No, this is based on a true story of a teacher. No, it's about a college professor that worked with the police department and would basically pretend to be a hitman to entrap people attempting to hire a hitman to murder a family member. And it's based on a true story. It's based on a real guy. But then the movie kind of takes a turn into the fiction part of it, where I think if the movie kind of stuck more with the true story aspect of it and didn't try to shoehorn in this other plot, it probably would have been a better, more solid film. than trying to throw in this sort of screwball comedy section portion of it.
Interesting.
That
I'll
that
check it out.
didn't work. It wasn't terrible. I didn't hate it. It just this other thing was unnecessary, and it's like becomes the whole cusp of the movie. I'm like, yeah, you had a better movie beforehand when he was like entrapping people in diners and figuring out what that means about him and who he is as a person. There was like something there about that. But the real guy also, I read up on him after. Very interesting character. This Gary Johnson, who is a real person, was pretty interesting.
Sounds like it's not a hit, man. All right, what else we got?
I watched the Jim Henson documentary, Jim Henson Idea Man, on Disney Plus. That's the Ron Howard Jim Henson documentary. It's good. It actually is very good. It's a well put together documentary. I did learn things about Jim Henson that I did not know. Basically, the long road to the Muppet Show. Like,
I know a lot about Jim Henson.
Did you know about his nightclub?
No.
Okay, so when Jim Henson, he made a lot of commercials in the
Yes.
60s. That was his thing. It was basically his bread and butter was making commercials
With Muppet characters.
With Muppet characters. He used that to fund his weird film projects that he would make. He would make these weird films just basically for
I think they call
art
them
films.
experimental films, I think is
experimental art films. Yes, I was saying art films. But yes, he made these weird experimental films, and he wanted to open a chain of nightclubs where he could show his art films constantly projecting on all the walls around him
while people played ping pong,
while people were dancing. And that was his big idea. And he was about to invest all his money into these nightclubs. And at the very last second before he signed a piece of paper, Children's Television Workshop called him and said they're working on a TV show and they really need something for it, like a puppets for it. Can he help? And that became Sesame Street.
Oh my goodness.
And Tucker, even his kids go.
Lifeline. Holy moly, that could have gone horribly wrong.
Oh my God, it was pretty funny. I'm like, yep, you got lucky there. And then, doing the Muppet Show, which, was the late 70s at that point, and, all of everything that went along, the Muppet Shows, the movies, making Labyrinth and making the Dark Crystal. And the Dark Crystal, the first cut of the Dark Crystal had no voiceovers in it. The characters didn't speak in the first cut of the Dark Crystal, and they showed it to the studio executives, who walked out screaming at him that they needed to do something with this movie.
Was he like really into drugs or something? Like, cause he
wasn't. No, he was very clean cut.
Okay.
He was just a very unusual man. Was very strange.
I've seen, like, if you go to the Museum of the Moving Image in Long
yeah, they
Island
have
City,
those.
I don't know is it still there? I don't know if it's still there, but it's a great there's a Jim Henson exhibit that was there at some point. And you can watch a lot of those old commercials, and even the old commercials are weird, like in their commercials, but they're still like, and
it was there as
experimental
of last summer. It was there.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if it basically it is. It's like this sort of two-sided person where there's this Jim Henson that's, the lovable, loves kids, that Jim Henson. And then there's this sort of very dark, unusual man, Jim Henson, that's kind of hard to pin down. I mean, his marriage was pretty sad.
Okay.
They talk about that. They had a lot of kids, but they didn't really love each other. And but they didn't believe in divorce.
Was he also trying to protect his jizz? Is that where
he was also trying to protect his jizz?
Look, man.
Hey, man.
Hey, Big Bird. Don't be taking my jizz, Big Bird.
Yeah, but they do go into, because there's the whole thing where, like Bob Marley, he died because he wouldn't see a doctor. That's always been part of
parallels.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But they
two parallels.
They go out of their way to say that Jim Henson did believe in doctors. Like no, he really did. He
Dr.
did believe.
Teeth.
He just
Dr.
Teeth. He just made a bad decision, is what they're trying to say.
I think that he waited too long to go to check himself into the hospital.
Right.
Because he was such a workaholic that it didn't occur to him to do that.
Right.
So, I don't know,
Mm.
but it's good. It's
I'm
worth your
watching that.
time if
I'll
you have
watch it.
even if you have a passing interest in Jim Henson.
Am I
I'm
gonna
gonna watch
cry?
that one.
Will I cry?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well,
That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
I don't think you will. I don't think it's particularly sad. It does a good job of not always painting him as the hero of his story, which a lot of Jim
gonna cry.
Henson stuff does.
I'll cry.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll cry.
but he wasn't a bad person. So
Is that kid friendly? I can't tell with Disney Plus anymore.
I mean, yeah, it's kid friendly. There's nothing in there that
He didn't
All
do
right, 'cause
anything
my
creepy.
kids would like watching that, but
Mhm.
Yeah, they've been to the exhibit.
they have been to the exhibit.
All right.
They've been. I've shown them the Muppet Show, so they're familiar with all these things.
Have they seen Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas?
My daughter has. Yes.
Have they seen
It's too intense for Dad.
the musicians from Bremen?
They have not.
No, well, then you're missing out.
Yeah.
River
That's
Bottom Nightmare Band. It's scary.
The
Very
river.
scary. I remember that
Bottom.
guy. Snake. Remember the snake?
The snake. Yeah, I was literally about to say.
That's a pretty weird Christmas movie.
It's great.
Hole in the wash tub.
Yeah.
Even as a young Jew, I enjoyed that show.
I tried to make my kids watch that a few times. They always found it slow, dumb, and boring. So
Yeah.
It's overly depressing too.
Yeah, they're poor, like dirt poor. It's about,
yeah.
like,
Hey Cinderella probably holds up better.
All right, let's do new releases.
That's right. I know all my Muppet deep cuts.
Great. I don't know that one.
Regular John Denver over here.
And that's a good Christmas special.
New releases? Anything?
Yeah, there are, I guess.